Hello everyone. I was just about to pop in a video game, play some vid games. I know, crazy, right? And I decided to check Jonathan McIntosh's Twitter, and lo and behold, he made a new fucking video. I didn't even know this video. I didn't even know he released it. I knew he was making it, but I did not know he was that he released it. So. We get to enjoy it. We get to watch this. I just sat through Asking King, well, part one at least, as I'm recording this. Uh, and I have two other parts to go in, which I'll do another day. And we have Jonathan fucking McIntosh. All right, let's see what the hubbub is about. This is about video games, so it's relevant, guys. It's relevant for the kids.
Program complete. You may enter when ready.
This video series primarily focuses on film and television, but every once in a while, I like to check in on the world of video games.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you do.
And there's no better place to get a sense of what's happening in gaming than the Electronic Entertainment Expo, or E3 for short.
Okay.
Every summer, the entire video game industry descends on the convention center in downtown Los Angeles for an extravagant week of video game announcements and demonstrations. The highlight of the expo are the press conferences, which are put on by each of the major video game publishers, during which they showcase all their latest and greatest titles. Dozens of fantastically rendered, breathtaking worlds are on
Oh,
display.
Beyond Good and Evil 2 is coming out in 2018.
And yet somehow, I always walk away from E3 with a profound sense of disappointment. And that's because for all the talented developers, all the hardware innovation, all the technological advancements, and all the new games, E3 can still feel remarkably uncreative. Year after year, the gaming industry seems to fall back on one underlying theme: kill or be killed.
Okay.
After a few dozen trailers that all seem to feature essentially the same...
Because you can't do that in real life, and it's kind of fun to do that in video games, John. I mean, like, indie developers can't make the budget to, like, have a big E3 presence. I mean, Indivisible was at E3, and, you know, no one talked about it. You bet I was fucking pissed, but that got an award anyway. Indivisible, you guys better buy it. If you don't buy that game, oh man, let me tell you.
style of gameplay, the whole event can turn into a blur of flying bullets, swinging swords, and fiery explosions. And that makes it hard not to feel a little like Captain Picard on the holodeck.
What are you here to do? Ask for a refund?
Nah. I'm here to kill you.
Computer, freeze program! Computer, this isn't what I wanted at all. It's much too violent. I'm here to relax, not to dodge bullets. Reconfigure.
Gaming is now a $100 billion a year industry.
But video games are like, that's the fun though. Like, if you came to video games just to relax and not kill people, then there are games like Journey, Skullgirls. You don't shoot people in that game, but okay, that might be too violent actually. Journey, Flow, even though that might be too violent for John McIntosh. Indivisible. I don't know. I just feel this is kind of a like the thing is that because I've read his tweets, and so I kind of have an idea of what this video is, what he's trying to get at with this video is that he's trying to elude the idea that video games rely too much on violence. And okay, you know what? That fair enough. Fair enough. There's a lot of video games that have violence and killing in them, and you could say that is disappointing. And I could kind of agree with that in the sense that because it's like comic book movies. Comic movies are good. They're fun to watch. They're enjoyable. But like we're so saturated in them is that, you know, like, how many times do we see the world blow up and all this stuff? That's kind of what I liked about Logan. I saw Logan recently, and I love that movie. I think that was a really good comic book movie because it didn't have this over-the-top, like, the world has to be in danger of being blown up or destroyed, or, you know, this government's gonna be overthrown, or anything. It had a very simple, touching story that was just interesting, and it was about these two characters, and it was very different than what you would expect from a comic book movie, typically, and I do like that. But it's like it's kind of a bankruptcy of ideas because publishers want to rely on stuff that's safe. It's just that the issue I have with Jonathan McIntosh, back to criticizing this guy, is that he comes off as he wants less of violent video games and more of the other, but when really the point that should be made is that there should be more of indie or creative titles regardless. I mean, we shouldn't have to lessen one to get the other. And that's the most common, like, argument that people have with these SJW people, like Anita Shark Girl and this person as John, is that we should not have to annihilate or reduce something and make more of the other. We should just make more of the other while, you know, people doing whatever they want to do.
And that's billion with a B. And in many ways, E3 represents the face that industry shows to the public. As such, the event provides an ideal setting to analyze overarching patterns in the gaming world. So this year, I did a quick statistical breakdown of all the games featured at the major E3 press conferences.
Get hype.
Let's see what we've got.
A total of 133 games were shown during these events. Only 20 of those games didn't include combat mechanics, and 10 of those were sports or racing games. A detailed breakdown looks like this: 82% combat, 3% minimal or incidental combat, 5% sports, 3% racing, 1% for dancing, with just 7% left over for all other non-combat games.
Yeah, because, well, the other thing is with these press conferences that Jonathan McIntosh really should kind of take, you know, really should consider is that when you have games that are like, let's say Life is Strange, when they showed that, people were like, oh my god, fucking Life is Strange, that girl was sitting on a bed. Oh my god, before this storm, I really liked the Anarchy logo. Like, no one was like, and it blew their mind over that. But when you see, like, Wolfenstein 2, it's like, holy shit, look at this. Oh man, you can do this. Oh, look at that weird, like, trippy chameleon thing that showed up. Like, it just, violence is just more engaging because it's like watching a fireworks show, and innately you know that these things are polygons and they're not real. Excuse me.
The fact that 82% of the games featured at E3 are combat-focused illustrates a pretty serious lack of imagination.
But those are games that were shown there, though. Like, again, Indivisible had combat in it, so I guess, oops. But Indivisible was also just it's a fun little game. I can gush over Indivisible all day long. Get the demo. It's on the PSN store, and you can also download it on your PC, Mac, whatever.
To see if that ratio holds up over time, I went back and compared these stats to the numbers from previous E3 events.
Oh shit,
and I found similar results. Initially, I had intended to include separate stats for narrative games, adventure games, puzzle games, city building games, and exploration games. I don't like the art style of this.
I don't.
But there just weren't enough titles in any of these genres to justify their own category. A couple quick notes about these numbers. For these calculations, I focused on combat rather than on the presence of violence. So games in the non-combat category aren't necessarily non-violent. In fact, 3 of the 10 games in that category are rather...
So then, so the games that have no combat have violence in them. Whatever.
Other violent survival horror experiences. I make the distinction between combat and violence because with combat, the player is the one doing the violence. Violence is, unfortunately, part of our shared human history, and so it makes sense that some games would include it. However, when combat is the game's central focus, it tends to celebrate that violence rather than frame it as a tragic last resort.
One such perk will award the player with a tactical nuke, following a 25-player kill streak.
That's kind of funny. I don't know, that sounded funny. It was like, oh, he got one kill, he got a nuke. It's like, what? Man, what was I gonna say? Oh, yeah, because depending on the game, like, you know, if it really depends on the game, though. Like, esports, like, you make it into, like, a tournament competitive kind of thing. Like, it's a fucking video game, John. Like, people might find that to be fun. People find that to be fun all the time. Whatever. I mean, let's continue.
This match will get red hot. It's on!
Of course, not all forms of combat are
what's he gonna say about Cuppy? Yeah, let's see what he says.
So, just out of curiosity, I further broke the stats down by type. Of the 108 games focusing on combat in 2017...
I like how he's like, this video so far is him drinking up to his ability to make stats, statistics, and charts and all that. Like, okay, cool, John, you made a fucking chart. Yippee.
20 of them could be classified as cartoon violence.
Cartoon violence?
For these titles, it's less kill or be killed, and more squish or be squashed. The violence may be cute, sometimes downright adorable.
Oh man, I wish I saved this. He made a tweet like, "Oh man, Mario has guns, man." Nintendo, they lost their way. It's like this game is not like a Nintendo only thing. It's this, and it's like a tactical thing. It's not a mainstay of Mario games. Mario's not gonna have a gun in Mario Odyssey. I'll tell you that much.
But the focus on combat mechanics still sets up a hostile game environment, in which players are forced into an antagonistic relationship with the game world. The interactions may be a lot less bloody, but the gameplay is still largely restricted to some form of get them before they get you.
Why did he throw Arms? Arms is a fucking fighting game. We have boxing, we have UFC, we have, like, fighting stuff and all that. Oh my god, John. Just stop. Just fucking stop making videos, please.
In many ways, the gaming industry has backed itself into this corner. For decades, game studios have focused on combat to such a degree that for many gamers, developers, and even publishers, combat has now become synonymous with gameplay itself. The president of Nintendo of America echoed this sentiment at E3 this year.
The game is fun. The game is a battle.
The game is fun. Oh man. Reggie, how dare you? The game is a battle. Well, it depends on the fucking game. Not every game is a fucking battle. Do you battle in Animal Crossing? Do you battle in Pikmin, I guess Pikmin battle the fucking predators of Pikmin, but whatever.
If it's not fun, why bother? If it's not a battle, where's the fun?
That's an extremely...
Oh shit, where's the battle? Where's the fun? Oh my god. Reggie is so violent, man. He was ready to kill the cameraman after saying that, dude. Where's the battle? Where's the fun?
narrow definition of what
because obviously you cannot have fun when there's conflict. John, have you ever like tried to make a story, you try to make a story and you have no conflict? Is the story fun? No. Like 2001 Space Odyssey has the least amount of violence, but there's a conflict in there between HAL 9000, the fucking people there, and there was violence in the sense of the conflict that arose from that. Battle is fun. Battle is a conflict. Conflict is fun.
Constitutes a game, and frankly, an even narrower definition of fun.
A cat, dude, use a cat. That's fucking your cat, John. If that's your cat, your cat's fucking shit. My rabbit, Cleo, she's better. Okay, Cleo is the best animal on this planet. I mean, I'm not saying that because, you know, if I bad talk her, she might fucking kill me. But, you know, she's a good rabbit. She's the best.
I'd argue that this obsession with violent combat mechanics is holding the gaming industry back. Let me quickly explain why I
wouldn't say it's holding
that.
it back.
Gameplay mechanics are the underlying rules and methods for engagement within a game. Think of mechanics as a set of tools that players are given with which to interact with the game world, its characters, and other players.
Yeah? You want some of this?
In many of the games we've been talking about, combat is the only way to solve problems, to resolve conflicts, or to overcome obstacles. That old saying that if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail is apropos. Except video games are made so that nearly everything in your path is specifically designed to actually be a nail. And if you're given a machine gun as your primary tool for engagement, that's going to determine how you approach the world and practically everything in it.
Quake Champion is a fucking esports game. Get the fuck out of here. Come on.
This one dude's all, raw, so I shot him, and then I shot this other one. Shot a couple extra guys just to be safe. I did a lot of shooting, if I'm being totally honest.
When games focus so heavily on combat mechanics, it severely restricts the options for both emotional interaction and creative conflict resolution.
Better get back to it.
Don't get me wrong. Conflict is, of course, an important part of storytelling. But there are many forms of conflict, from the interpersonal to the intergalactic. Likewise, there are many forms of conflict resolution.
Yeah, and guess what could also come from conflict, John? I don't want to spoil it, so you know, it might be might shatter John's perception here, but...
And most of them don't leave behind a pile of bodies. I should mention that there do exist a small handful of games.
Undertale game. Okay. I'm sorry. Using Undertale as a serious fucking thing here. You know, no, Undertale is a fucking game
that include diplomatic tactics. Players can talk their way out of every situation in the retro indie game Undertale, but that's a rare exception to the rule.
Called Genocide Run.
Some genres, like role-playing games, have players doing more than just fighting. But most of the other forms of interaction...
Zelda, you kill people in that game, John. Come on.
...exist to support the combat.
Oh, so here you go.
You might talk to other characters, who will give you quests. Quests which inevitably involve killing stuff. You might buy, sell, or craft new items.
Andromeda, that
items that will help you in killing stuff.
A few days out in the wasteland, and it's time to kick back at home. My home.
You might even be able to build a house. A house which you'll have to defend by killing even more stuff.
Wow.
Because you do want to build defenses, because your settlements can and will get attacked by raiders.
All the other options available to players still ultimately revolve around that core combat mechanic. This topic is of special concern to me because my work primarily focuses on the representations of men and masculinity in entertainment. Everywhere we look in...
So, you're calling the girl from Horizon Zero Dawn a man? You're calling every character in Skullgirls a man? You're calling, Bayonetta a man? You're calling, shit. I know there's the girl from Lollipop Chainsaw a man? Wow, John, that's very shitty of you.
In pop culture, we see models of manhood that are linked to confrontation.
Wonder Woman is a man now? Man, I thought I liked Wonder Woman. I did not know Wonder Woman was a man.
Aggression and violence. And that's especially true in video games.
Oh, God of War,
where male characters are rarely depicted solving problems.
I will say, but the funniest thing though that will always be funny for me is how every time Sony shows God of War, the game is called God of War, Jonathan will always complain about it. Always. Last year's like, oh man, Kratos is a son. Kratos is gonna teach that kid how to kill. That's not right. You know, how dare Kratos in a game called God of War show him how to kill and teach him how to kill and not feel emotions. My God. And then this year, teach him how to fish and kill, man. Oh, let me tell you. The game is called God of War, and he's like getting butthurt that the main character is a violent character. A character that's known for killing gods.
Problems based on de-escalation or compassion.
That's like me getting like saying like, oh, Ares is too violent. Ares, the god of war, is too violent. He's terrible. They should have made him less violent. Like, he's the fucking god of war. Get the fuck out of here.
Effective in combat, a warrior must not feel for his enemy.
Things like diplomacy.
Because he's a warrior. They're not diplomats. Dummy.
De-escalation, negotiation, and compromise all take a back seat to blunt force.
Because they're not diplomats. They're not. And the game's called God of War. What do you expect?
Trauma. And that, in turn, dramatically limits the kinds of stories that can be told.
It doesn't. You just get turned off because you don't like violence. You can tell a good story, it's just that the violence has to make sense for that story to make sense. Like, you gotta have that conflict to make the violence make sense. When you have like superfluous violence that has no reason, then yeah, it's gonna suck. But like, you know, every game so far, like, they give a reason why you're killing things.
Now, whenever I make these kind of observations on social media, someone will inevitably respond with a snark.
Oh, here you go. What did you expect? I'm going to find them and make them a nice cup of tea. Oh, dude, I wonder if he's going to show my comment. I replied to that, actually. I did make a reply saying, like, dude, he better show my tweet, man. Because I got banned for it. I got blocked by him for it.
Snarky quip about defeating monsters with hugs or...
Yeah, I guess you're right. Chess would be better if the characters danced with each other.
Dancing or by serving tea and cupcakes. They no doubt think these are devastating burns, but actually, those are pretty good ideas.
No, it's not. It's not. Okay, alright. So, let's say that Team A, they're like, oh, Team B over there, you have Team A, Team B. Team A is like, Team B is a bunch of, okay, you know what, take that back. I'll just go to The Last of Us. I'll use that as an example. The Last of Us, you're in a post-apocalyptic world. Survivors are trying to scavenge for food and all this stuff. You come along and you're like, I want that food. You know, I need that for me. And then they're like, no, I want that food because I need that for me. You know, this and that. Okay. So do you think that it's gonna end with, oh, all right, oh, you want the food? Okay, here's the food. You can have it. Here you go. Here's the food. Just take it, man. It's all good, man. You look like you need it, right? You know. Hey, let's hug it out. Let's maybe we could no, they're gonna fucking kill you because it's a fucking post-apocalyptic world. No rules, nothing. Shit happens, okay? You know, once you get rid of law and order, hell breaks loose. Why do you think we have cops?
For innovative mechanics. I'd play those games, and I'm willing to bet that a whole hell of a lot of other people would too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, is that why companies are defaulting to violence? Because, you know, no.
Interactive media has an incredible, almost unlimited potential to deliver a wide range of...
You know what I would love to see one day is if someone like leads Jonathan McIntosh to meet Darkside Phil, like whatever it means, and he would see that basically DSP is kind of the part of the demographic that he want to make violent games for.
Of emotional, deeply human experiences
The
that
kind of
deal with
games that
love
John
and
likes,
connection
DSP
and
hates.
empathy. Imagine an open-world game where you take on the role of an EMT or a firefighter.
Why would anyone want to do that? I'm sorry, but like, for starters, I'm an EMT. I would not want to play a video game of me being of an EMT. I would not. I would. No.
Or a field medic, or a climate activist,
Why?
or an
Why? And but we do have support characters, like we have Mercy in Overwatch, and other stuff. Like, there's support classes in games. Oh, but no, there should be a game where you're an EMT, where you get to see the bullshit that that the EMTs get to see. You know, man, it's a lot of fun when you go to a scene. Oh man, this is the best. When they tell you, oh man, I feel good, I feel good, but they have like a big like laceration on their head, and they're like, oh man, I'm fine. It's like, well, you know, and you get to talk to them. You gotta pretty much convince them. They have to go. I mean, you can't leave them, because you know that'd be negligence. You know. Fun gameplay. You're probably already like enthralled by that. You're probably just like, oh man, I'd buy 10 copies.
Intergalactic veterinarian. Or how about a farmer who grows food on an intergenerational spaceship? Or imagine a game set
fucking Farmville. That's a fun game. I mean, that game people still play it, I bet.
Post-apocalyptic future, because every other game I saw at E3 was set in a post-apocalyptic future. But instead of fighting over the scraps, players cooperate to rebuild a better society.
But like, no one does that. No one would do that, because everyone wants to be like top dog. Everyone wants to be like the leader. Everyone wants to have power. There are people like that in our world. So yeah, no one is altruistic by nature, John. No.
Imagine all the stories we're missing out on because game developers insist on building virtual worlds that we experience from behind the barrel of a gun or the blade of a sword. Remember that 7% of non-combat focused games? Well, every year E3 does play host to a
look, when people were watching this at the Microsoft press conference, they were cheering. They were like losing their minds over her sitting in a chair, man.
Few small games that break the mold and give us a glimpse into the medium's potential. Tacoma is one such example. You play as an investigator using augmented reality to solve a mystery of a missing crew aboard a space station. It's these small, innovative titles that are blazing a path forward for interactive storytelling.
Yeah, but it's just not a lot of people find that fun, though. That sounds boring to me. Like, oh man, I get to solve stuff by looking at stuff. Cool. Like, sure, there are people that might like this game, but but there's a reason why they're not the majority of the fucking games shown at E3. Like, that's what I mean. That is what I don't like about Jonathan McIntosh and these SJW types, is that they want less of one thing and then more of the other. And it's like, no, you need to have a good balance, because you can't, like, these games are like, they're interesting, but they're not gonna hold people. And by the way, Jonathan McIntosh complained about a game being too long. Jonathan McIntosh is not a good gamer. He's not a gamer, in my opinion. He says, oh man, look at me, I'm a gamer. He's not a fucking gamer. He played a game. Oh man, I really wish I could find footage of him playing Final Fantasy 15. It was astounding how bad he was at that game. The game offered a tutorial. He didn't want to do the tutorial, and then complained about not knowing basic combat. I'm gonna tell you this right now. Jonathan McIntosh is worse at games than Phil. He is literally worse than Phil at video games. I really don't know how a guy can manage that, but oh man. Jonathan McIntosh really went out of his way to be worse than Phil at video games.
We just need a whole lot more of them. If you'd like to see more of these long-form video essays about the intersections of manhood...
This is, I mean, whatever, but I, you know, if you look at his old videos, he used to do, like, an actual camera, like, you actually talk in front of a camera for these videos. Then he decided to not do that anymore, for whatever reason, and decided to do, like, just voiceovers, which, with a shitty fucking microphone. I mean, I use my built-in microphone on my laptop, and that's a better microphone than what he has, which is really sad. You know, when you come to think of it. But look how fucking whatever. But you know, he makes less than DSP, so that makes me happy at the end of the day. That DSP makes more than him. That really makes me happy.
Politics and entertainment, then please go over to Patreon and help fund this project. Every little bit helps me keep making more videos.
Yeah, sure. Let's see if there's another video I might have missed. I don't think there was. I did see the Fantastic Beasts, see if there's anything to talk about. Not really. How famous for you can say. No, she started her new video series. But I don't think it's that good. I don't think there's anything to talk about, and it's kind of boring. It's kind of boring. Well, anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.